VeeFam, what is up? My name is Mr. Messer, but you can call me Rob, and I am back with another episode of the VeeFam Sessions. And today I am so honored to be joined by the president of VeeFriends himself, Mr. Andy Krainak. Andy, how are you? Thank you. All the things.
Doing very well, Rob. It is great to be back on with you.
Round two. Round two.
And so,
We just said it's been many moons. December 22, episode 18, Andy was on. So if you have missed episode 18, I highly recommend tapping into that. It's Andy's origin story, his come up through the Vayner ecosystem, his background, all of his comic book number one, if you will. We're not going to get too much into that today because there's so much else to talk about, but I highly recommend tapping into that. Andy,
what
like
um
we're
what episode number is gonna be this?
this is gonna be, I think, 78.
Man, kudos to you for the consistency. I was just having a call with someone who's aspiring to do content creation. Being consistent is the number one thing and potentially the only thing. If you continue to do it, you can continue to build an audience and you can continue to get better at it, you know.
100%. And you know, you could take that if you need to.
Yeah.
Thinking back to my VCon sessions, the talks I actually got to go to had dwindled over the 3 years, but the ones I did tap into, the number one buzzword for anyone that's ever made it was consistency. So I've definitely adopted the consistent cougar over the years.
100%. But
So
the only way you can get consistent is if you actually are enjoying the thing, which I'm assuming, and I would say it's probably pretty evident now that you're well beyond episode 60, that you're enjoying it. You're enjoying connecting with the VFam, the VFriends community, talking and discussing life and all things VFriends.
100%. It's a real joy, and I'm with all the different hats I wear. I enjoy it no matter where I am, what kind of visor I'm wearing at that point. It's really special what you guys are building over there, and it's really special being able to have the vantage point I have just on the community side here and someone that just pays attention. With that said, we're in a moment now. Like Jeremy enjoys this. Like I'm calling it the end of the BTC era, the before Topps Chrome era. And that's just, I don't know if you think of it, you're probably just so in it, or maybe you do think of it. Like, we had the birth, we had the we're evolving era in, April 2022, book games, all that, cardboard summer 23. Then we have like this live streaming era of like Fanatics Live and cultivating communities through Whatnot and Fanatics Live, and now like it's gonna change. Like, are you so in it? Like, are you so in the dirt that you don't even feel that, or like do you kind of
I
think?
totally feel it,
Yeah,
but I feel it externally and internally, not just from a Topps Chrome perspective, but from everything that we're doing with DJ and Gary and the comics and the storytelling, from our staff, from how we're building our live streams, to Gary's energy and focus. We're 100% in a new era. Whether or not I'm gonna think back on this era in 5 years time from as the BTC honestly probably so, because I think it is just gonna be such an iconic and historic launch for us. I think it's uh the first May 1st is when we're selling our the first public sale of our comic book. And then
hmm
May 7th, May 6th at midnight is Gary's first stream opening up Topps Chrome. Those arguably in the history of all of VeeFriends live show dates and or dates may be the most important that we ever have in
uh,
terms of moments in time.
of course, and it's kind of apropos that it's happening the first week of May, and it's gonna be like 4 years since the
Yeah.
launch.
We
Uh,
actually debated moving it to the actual launch day, which I think I should know it's either the 10th or the 11th. It was going to be, of course, May 5th,
right.
and then we were behind schedule, but we were going to push Chrome to be that date, but calendars and all these things goes
Right.
up and
I
out.
think
It's
it was the 11th, but that would have been
11th,
cool.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
so with that, we're gonna talk all things VeeFriends, but I want to talk about you for a second. The president in the United States, we have
Hmm.
presidential cycles of 4 years, and here you are coming up on the end of your first 4 years, your first term, so to speak, as sitting
Yeah.
president. So with that, I kind of, I guess let's take it from like a ponder it from all angles. Like, what's looking back on your 4 years here? Like, what's one or two things that you learned? What's one or two things that maybe like you feel like you need to work on better, or like you're going to make a point to do better going forward, and just something you're proud of from the first 4 years.
Yeah.
So wherever you want to run with that.
Um, proud of, I'm proud of a lot of things. The two things that most come to mind are I'm extremely proud of where we are at this moment in time. On April 17th in 2025, I'm just so proud of where we are. I'm proud of what's coming. I think if you look at the projects that launched in 2021, there are very few that are operating in the ways that we are and have accomplished what we're going to accomplish and will continue to do. And I think that is coming from Gary and myself and everyone else who's been at this company since 2021. Um, I'm also very proud of the 3 years of VCon. I think that event and the memories that people had at that event um, will stay with them forever. And I think the brand of VCon will continue to uphold a legacy and credibility that we established from those 3 years, while also trying to do the million other things that we were doing during that period of time. VCon itself is such a large undertaking. It's why we did the spaces earlier last fall where like Gary dropped off for a little bit. I think it was on NFT Bark show. And I like sort of foreshadowed that I personally was looking forward to not having VCon this year
Hmm.
so that we could really, really lock in and focus on the characters and all the storytelling that we wanted to do. In 2021 of May, if you asked me like what does 4 years from now look like, I definitely would have thought we would be further along with character development and character storytelling. Um, but I'm so excited that it's happening right now. Uh, I think the biggest thing that I've learned, I've always known to be true, but it's as ever present currently as sit here today with you as president, which is it's all about the people that you work with, the people that you hire, the people that you trust to do things is the ingredient, not just in business, but in life. You know, family are friends are the people that you decide to make your family. It's the same thing with colleagues and coworkers. Hiring is arguably probably the most important decision you make at a company. And if you make a really, really good hire, it can change a lot in the best ways.
I love that. And early on in this journey of this particular project and this podcast, off the get, it was just something I did to because I believed in the project. I know it was going to be a long term thing, so I wanted to put my flag in the ground there and document what you guys are doing. But soon it was very evident, like the kinds of people that were attracted to this and that were going to
Yeah,
be real players in it and the origin stories of them. And then it's like, oh, they're going to go on and do all these cool things and build these cool companies and have like form these relationships. So it's like a really amazing thing that's blossoming from both sides of the fence, and it all goes back to the people. It stems from the top. So I I love that, and obviously I'm here for it, and so are you. This particular season, like one of the telltale signs is like Gary get finding another level. Like we see the retweeting, we see the gifting, we see the energy on the streams, and like everyone, there's different kind of Garys. A lot of people love Twitch Gary, streaming Gary. I love chip on shoulder competitive Gary. I don't know if you recall or ever saw it in the first place, but he did a NFT Now podcast years ago where he just ranted for the and he's like, by the way, it's going to be the project, the single one. Um, sperm and dad's dicks,
I know,
the
I
whole
can
thing.
hear
But
I
like,
can hear the clip in my head right now.
it's
The fucking one, Rob.
yeah.
It's gonna be the fucking one.
I was building community when you were sperm in your dad's dick. So like that energy like fuels me up. Do you do you like have that? Like you're such a cool, calm and collected guy. Like do you have that gear that we just don't see? Or do you just kind of get it from the ecosystem there, which I know is energetic? But like do you have that chip on your shoulder?
Of course, 100%. It doesn't, when I'm on the field here, It's not in my nature to necessarily communicate it the way that Gary does. But it's why I'm in the seat today right now talking to you.
Mm,
It definitely comes to life in all things competition. Like if I'm on a basketball court, people will generally know I'm going to play really hard and I'm probably going to foul you and I'm definitely going to do everything I can do to win. And it's also why at 25, with a college degree and a lot of other experiences, I decided to take a job for $7 an hour and sleep on my brother's couch to go work for this dude, Gary Vee, while everyone thought that it was like stupid. And I knew that I was going to say one day, I'm going to fucking show you.
mm.
And it's actually been rewarding for me. I actually got cozier. The bar for VeeFriends since Jump has been extremely high, as it should be. Um, but that's not where I'm cozy. I'm cozy when I'm the underdog. And that's why I've been having so fun over the last 2 or 3 years because uh watching the timeline, and like where there's things that I think we should have been further along at or things that I would have done differently. Um, but boy, feeling like I have people betting against me or downplaying what VFriends is up to makes me feel so excited and invigorated and motivated in a way that I wouldn't otherwise get if everyone's like, "Oh, they have Gary, they have VFriends, like whatever. It is what it is." So that's been rewarding for me. Like when there is a need for me to really step up to play is actually when I'm at my best. You sort of play in sports. Sometimes people say that you play to the level of your competition. Like a really good team, if they're playing a bad team, will start playing poorly. But I,
Hmm.
I rise to the competition when there's adversity, and I feel like I need to start slicing some throats.
I, I love that. And I made a point to call out because a lot of people headline read and don't really have all the context. So I remember episode 1 because I listened back to it. I like made a point to like point out like, by the way, he was doing Facebook for this many years,
Yeah,
and now it's like everyone flooded this, and even when they're not, it's like, yeah, it's just Gary Vee's thing. So like that, and you could look at it a lot of ways and say, oh, like okay, Gary's pushing it, but like there's downsides to that too.
yeah,
That I'm
yeah,
sure you live through and have to navigate, but you're just stepping up and like it's home run after. And I will get to all this shit in a second that you guys are cranking out, but like it's real remarkable what's happening. And it's funny even now, like specifically now in this kind of week where like people from other communities, Web3, that are long gone,
yeah,
not viable anymore. And these are the same communities that were laughing at these doodles not even 4 years
yeah.
ago. And now it's like we
Wait
remember,
until 7 years from now.
yeah,
Like it
like
actually is like for a while people were like, "Oh, Andy just likes to throw up fucking brick emojis, like brick by brick. We get it. When you guys are actually gonna do something?" Like it's cliche, but like this is BTC era. Like we haven't even had our biggest commercial launch yet.
mm,
Like we actually are just getting started. Gary actually is going to work on this for his life. That's what this is about. That's what it's always been about. And like the reward and like that's what we're it's just gonna be like it's always gonna come and go. People are gonna say things, but like it's so rewarding for me personally, and I know for others, and for Gary. Can you imagine what it's been like for him over the last 4 years? The amount of comments and replies of like, oh, he's not even in the space, he's not even building. Like this founder's so much better. And here we are, BTC, less than a month away, a couple weeks away from launching VFriends Tops Chrome.
it's yeah, no, it's fantastic. And that's VFriend, like that's a meta thing for VFriends too. Super competitive. We remember what you said. We remember the comments. Like we have the receipts, but like we'll welcome you with open arms with
Yeah,
love. Uh,
always.
which is
And Gary always says it like some people want to build the biggest building by tearing other buildings down, and we will build the biggest building by building the biggest building.
there's a lot of poetic justice in people accepting that Series 2 NFT and then changing it to a VFriend.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm so here for it. But with that, like you kind of alluded to this, like you're like definitely more out in front than you have been in the early days. You're doing the reformat, the 555 spaces. It's live, it with camera and whatnot. You're all over the timeline, retweeting people, like really in the dirt there. Is that something that would just happen like organically, or you just like being in the community, or you just be more thoughtful?
All the above is the answer. It's a little bit of for a while there, I felt like it was needed. Like I
Mm,
really needed to do that, that I needed to be the voice that there was an absent voice and it was coming from me and I needed to be more of a front man for VeeFriends and for the community from a different angle. And I realized that I was an underdog and I wanted to step into that. And I was speaking to that a little bit before. And I'm just having fun. Like it's so fun building this and building it and watching y'all have fun with it, you know? And it's so cool for me to think about like my relationship with the VeeFriends community, with the VeeFriends collectors, with the VeeFriends fans, because I'm also in a weird way like cheering for all of you. Like I know this podcast, I know you, I know Chels, I know 50 other. I was just on a call 2 minutes. My two calls before this were from VeeFriends community members who I've been trying to help uh with career advice.
mm.
And it's just cool and it's just like a my and I'm it's mostly on X that I'm doing this, but I just love engaging and building and trying to be a spokesperson for us and the collective us being what is VeeFriends, what it represents, and what we're trying to put out into the universe.
But that's really cool, and definitely noticeable and appreciated from what I've seen and what I've heard through the grapevine. So I know it can't be easy with all that you're doing to have
And
both.
I've always trying to find like you gave this, it's funny to think about me being president and it's 4 years. That was a good play by you. But I've always been trying to find my balance with Gary as the leader and visionary. You know, like there, make no mistake about it, which I don't think anyone is. The heartbeat of this company will be and will continue to be and will always be through Gary. And that's why we're going to be as successful as we're going to be. But trying to find my cadence of being a leader for my colleagues and community in my own way has been an evolution for myself.
I just had Jeremy on for the second time a couple shows ago, and I pulled a quote from his first episode, which like shook me because I've been thinking about it a lot. And he said, uh, "VFriends will be great because of Gary V, but it's not because of Gary V that VFriends will be great."
Yeah,
And that I just thought that was a real bar if you dive into it.
he said that to me before too. Jeremy knows.
Jeremy knows. I want to get into some of the timeline here, but we didn't talk about VCon last time. We have to talk about VCon. 2022 in Minnesota, 23 Indianapolis, number 3 in LA. Let's take it here. You guys, the day after VCon 1, no break. You just go right into planning VCon 2, unpack what just happened VCon 1. Looking back, because there's no doubt, like the up leveling, you'd have to just be not paying attention at all to neglect seeing the amount of effort and resources that went into up leveling each and every year. Thinking back from like the OG days, we'll call it like end of VCon 1, what were some of the big things that you remember that like we need to really do this better and you did? I know we're dated now, but
I mean, the three things that I wanted to like speak on or that I really remember, and I might try to grab this clip and just share it. VCon 1, Snoop and Gary did their thing on stage. The show ended, people were exiting. VCon 1 was a success. I go down where Gary is in this little suite with his college friends and his parents and family, and I start crying. Like I just see him, and I literally, that's how much emotional intensity was going on, really since May 11th, 2021. Like this road to VCon, this anticipation of throwing this super conference that we've never thrown before, and everything that I was feeling and worrying about, hoping it would go well, and like the fact that we nailed it. I just saw Gary and I hugged him. I just started bawling, crying. I'll always remember that, and it's actually in his Daily V episode. And then the funny thing, I always like April leading up to May 18th when VCon was in 2022. I kept on just like motivating myself to be like, I just got to get to May 18th. If we can get there, like everything is going to be right. Sponsors, attendees, VCon ticketing solution, making sure the speakers were going to show all those things. And then I would take a break, a vacation. The day after VCon 1, I was so hyped
Mm,
because I saw how lit and kind and amazing our community was and how much they loved and supported what we were about and how great the event was and how confident I was that we were up to something very, very, very special and unique in a way that no other company or IP company has ever done. And the same thing happened for VCon 2 and the same thing happened for VCon 3, where like you leave VCon, whether you're a speaker, staff, or attendee, and you feel invigorated in a different way from talking to people and connecting to people and seeing that shared mindset of like positivity and entrepreneurialism and creativity all in one location for 3 days. It's really, really contagious and inspiring.
100%. And the call out from Gary right from the get in 2022. I don't know if it was the opening keynote, but or maybe in some spaces leading up to him, but his idea of summer camp and how people would meet the first year and then like maybe their crew would build the second year. And three, it's like
Yeah,
nobody needs to say anything. You're just family showing up and just like
yeah.
getting into your little groups. Like it
Well,
couldn't have been more spot on now having lived through it.
I mean, there's like, I think VCon, every VCon in ways got better and better. VCon 1 for me will probably always, nothing will ever be like, seeing the doors open for VCon 1 for me. I'm looking at the Jumbotron. People are sprinting inside to go down to the merch
The
booth. I'm
merch.
like having a panic attack. I'll remember that moment forever. I saw like my life flash before my eyes. I'm like, well, here we go. Like, I hope I was just worried about people's safety, honestly. But I think we got better and better. Line management, programming. Gary's main goal was always to have like uh, as many stages going on as possible and to just have people be overwhelmed with the amount of speakers and content, which I think was consistent for every year. Every year had its own tasks, rather challenges and hurdles to figure out like wayfinding signs and make sure people get in the right spaces. Every year I've had instances where I'm like, all right, this isn't going well. But we got better and better and smarter, smarter. And the biggest changes were always, as I said previously, with having the right people around me. VCon 2 staff was different than VCon 1 staff, and
Hmm.
VCon 3 staff was different than VCon 2 staff. But there was always a continuity. There was always a shared learning of like what went wrong, what could have been better, how can we make it better. And we always had a better and greater understanding of what VCon is. VCon 1 was like figuring what is VCon? That was like the assignment. Like, this is what Gary says it is. Like, what is it actually? And then I think after VCon 1, we knew what it is. And VCon 2 was more about now what can it become? And then VCon 3 was to the best of our ability to actualize the full potential of like what it is, what it can become, and what it's going to always be.
Mm. Just hearing you talk, it's wild. Just to like, there's been three of them. Like time is so wild.
I
It
know, man.
doesn't
I
even
can't
feel
believe
real.
it's 4 years.
Crazy. One
Rips
thing.
was nine. I was talking about, because a lot of, we're 4 years old now. I only have VCon 1, I think we're about 9 staff, 10 full-time staff. Some of them most of them are still VeeFriends, not all of them. But a lot of them don't know how like Rips joins VeeFriends. And I was thinking like, man, Adam was 19 when he started working with us. And I remember
Mm,
the first time I talked to him. It's just crazy to see and think about how much we've all grown and evolved.
100%. How many people are on staff right now in April 2025?
A little over 30.
Um, I want to get to some of these collabs in a sec, but just from the clouds, I know some things are on chain, some things, you guys are very private in a lot of ways, and I want to respect that. But there's been a trillion collaborations, and for all intents and purposes, we're not a well-known IP. I'm sure for some of these bigger brands I'm going to name in a second, it's somewhat of a risk. I know Gary co-signs a lot of things, but are there any bullet points, numbers talk, money talks? So whether it's like streamers or active members in the community or dollars sold or whatever or merch, are there any bullet points that you off the dome that you throw out in a collaboration meeting to be like, hey, we're actually a legitimate, thriving operation?
Um, Totally depends on the context of the meeting and how well they know us and Gary. But Uno, our first drop with Uno, gets brought up consistently.
Hmm.
Like we sold out our Uno decks in 50 minutes on Mattel Creations, a website that's not like the most popular website in the world. Um, Nordstrom, we had our Anwar Carrots hoodie drop where every Nordstrom in America was sold out, I think, in like 48 hours. And our Discord actually found that the product was listed on Nordstrom, not publicly, but you could find it if you search the website, and it got sold out on the .com before anyone could even announce it. That speaks to the fandom that we have here. It goes on, but it really depends on the room and the context. And obviously, when we're talking and speaking about VeeFriends, we're not just talking about our ability to sell out product, the size and reach of our community, both within the continental US, but globally,
Oh, yeah.
but also the marketing prowess of Gary and the unique operator that he is as the CEO of VeeFriends, but also serial entrepreneur and marketer who really
Mm.
understands consumer behaviors.
And then I appreciate that. And then, there's a lot of people right now calling card stores, walking into card stores, trying to get their relatives to wear a sweatshirt or to
Yeah.
open a pack of cards. And I know, we use the comp of Pokemon meets Sesame Street. There's a lot of renditions. Everyone has their own flavor, but I'm just curious, you as the president, if you have to sum it up, maybe in a meeting or on the street at a cocktail party, like what's your quick, like, what is VeeFriends?
A collectible character universe of positive traits that we want to inspire in others. It is Pokemon meets Sesame Street. It is Gary Vee's version of Marvel. It is a character universe that people have favorite characters on for different reasons. And it's actually my favorite thing about VeeFriends is that for whatever reason, you show a person a wall of 251 characters, and every one of them is going to have a different favorite character.
Yep. That checks out. Um, Collaborations, activations, and I'm not even going to name them all, but in your first term as president, we got Toys R Us, Macy's, Mattel, Uno, Starter, Major League Pickleball, Reebok, Mary Ruth, Primitive, Kim Shui, collaboration with Snoop Dogg, Mattel, Masters of the Universe, Funko, Johnny Walker, the Minis, Squishmallows, Crocs, Belly, Chuck E. Cheese, Moonbug, Meet in the Middle Children's Book, Zero Cool, Uno Pizzeria, PSA, and the cherry on top, Topps Chrome. When you hear that, what's going through your mind?
Um, we've done a lot, and we're just getting started. And I have like a unique relationship with every one of those collabs. I remember the first business meeting we had about it, and I'm thinking also about like the internal baseball of like how I thought about the net impact of that collab, but also like it's humbling, like to put VeeFriends, to have those brand names as collaborative partners with an IP that I've helped build and create is like astonishing,
Mm,
and to think that it's only 4 years in. You would think that list is after, if we would have guessed, and if we would have read that on May 12th, 2021, like these are the clouds VeeFriends is going to have over the next 11 years, people would be like, that's
right.
that's within four. Um, and it's just really exciting. And I think it's going to only continue to grow. Some with the same partners that have already been mentioned, doubling down on, and others with brand new partners. And I will say, I've said it before, but our new collaboration, which is coming out in May with PSA and the PSA Pop Culture and TCG magazine, may go down in history as my favorite collab ever.
Mm,
For what PSA represents within the hobby of trading cards and collectibles, and to think that we're putting our super stickers and the very, 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 very lucky Black Cat super sticker in that magazine. It just has it is the most perfect list of ingredients that I would try to lay out for a successful collab that will do what collabs are meant to do for most collabs from for VeeFriends, which is grow our audience, grow the level of interest and brand building within a specific audience, and that is collectors, card collectors, and with PSA and that super sticker insert, I think it's an amazing collab, and I can't wait. I just need one that I want to like frame so I can have up in my office one day when I'm like 80 and I'm trying to tell my kids about what's been happening in the last 40 years.
I mean, it's the gold standard. Do you have your subscription ready to go?
I don't.
Oh, we get.
I I don't have my subscription ready to go, but
Someone's got to hook Andy up with one that he can
no,
frame.
I'm
Um,
gonna be on the open market. I gotta try to buy one.
Speaking of that, did you ever get the package? You never got the package I sent you, huh?
I will double check. I went into the mailroom. I didn't see it.
Okay. Um, all right, I'll run it back. That's all. Um,
I'll shoot you an email tomorrow.
okay.
I'm in a different office right now, but I'll be at that Hudson Yards office tomorrow.
So with the list of collaborations, is there? Oh, by the way, on the PSA thing, and bless Rips, he did such a great space when that dropped. Um, really peeling back the curtain. He always he has a way of doing that just the perfect amount and just like towing that line of giving alpha and cool insight without giving everything away that he's not supposed to. Um, that's the last nice thing I'll say about him. Gary, he said that it was Gary's idea to push the black cat to be on the super sticker. Was it going to be something else?
So honestly, I have to give credit to this collab completely to Adam and Gary. We had some introductory calls with the PSA team, and then they came up with this, like, hey, let's collab, and it continued to evolve from there. But I was in the room. It was actually during the Topps Chrome offsite that I think you might have seen and be aware of, where like Gary was hanging out, sharing tons of videos from like a war room that we're having.
I thought it's my favorite clip of potentially ever, definitely of the year, when you guys rip that sticker and everyone's going nuts and
He's like,
he's
"Shh,
shushing
my
everyone.
parents are sleeping. We're gonna wake them up." I died laughing. That's one of my favorite clips too.
It's all
Um,
time. Like you have this mega millionaire. I don't know why you guys were at his parents' house in Malibu. It seemed like you had this like huge
well, that's
Airbnb
why Gary's
rental.
so like he's unique for a lot of reasons, but it's the same reason why like how can he stand in a selfie line at VCon for 5 hours and just go
Right.
back to back to he loves people, man. He loves the interaction. He loves like we were at his parents' house with people that work for him and he just loves everyone being on top of each other, hanging out, working, focus on a single task. But it was during that time where Mr. Adam Rips and Gary and I were discussing the collaboration, and we were thinking about the characters that we're going to go in it, reviewing what characters have had super stickers already, how to strategically think about the character selection for this collaboration. And classic Gary, when he has a big moment, he'll either stand up or slap his hand on the table. I got it. Black Cat. And like right when he said it, I'm like, no way. Because I'm thinking about I love the line of collectibles super stickers. I think it offers a lot of opportunities for us on how we can try to connect with different collectors of all ages. Um, uh, but I'm trying to save the Black Cat for 5 years from now.
Mm.
And Gary and me is like, no, this is it. This is the moment. We have Top Scrum coming out. It's PSA magazine. I want Black Cat in it. And like from there on out, Rips was like, all right, let's do it. And Uh, I'm just so hyped with it. I think it's genius and it makes the most sense. If we were ever going to put the Black Hat super sticker anywhere, why would you not have it be inside of
E-
PSA's
Exactly. And
pop culture magazine?
it totally aligns with anything his whole ethos of give it for free. Like don't hold your best stuff back. Just give it to them for free.
100%. Put them on. Put them on game.
Totally. Like it makes so much sense. Such a power play move.
Yeah.
Um awesome. I don't want to get into the weeds on every like intricate situation or cool story, but like if we're looking for, I read those list of collabs. Was there any, let's call it like one that almost didn't come to fruition? Was there any like serendipitous thing like, well, this was supposed to happen, but it didn't, but because of that, we got this relationship or collab? Is there any like cool story that we could pull out any one of these
Yeah, I'm
that
trying to
jumps
think of,
off the
I'll
page
just
for
bring
you?
up some random ones. I think um I think you said Masters of the Universe, like
Hmm.
through Mattel and Mattel Creations. That one was really cool because of how near and dear it was to Gary. with Skeletor, but I would give a lot of credit to the Uno team for allowing us to use uh, their IP as a VeeFriends Series 2 background. To be
Mm,
Mattel and to allow us to be so innovative with our IP on our NFTs and Web3 was something I was not expecting when I built together a pitch deck of like, hey, let's do something really unique for our collectors. And they were totally game and we were able to figure it out. And if we can figure that out with Mattel, I'm sure that we can figure it out with other big companies. So that was really cool. Um, Uno was cool, but for me, it was cool in that uh, how it built within the community and those Uno tournaments at VCon. But VCon 2, the Uno tournament, was like a movie to me. I thought everyone had so much fun. Everyone was ripping their own Series 2 cards. And then the Uno tournament champion and that VCon 3, I thought it was electric and really awesome too. Um,
such a cool moment.
the Funko collab last year was also really big for us at Comic-Con. It just brings, as all collabs do when you're partnering with Mattel and Funko and PSA, they bring a credibility to this new and young and emerging IP. And at Comic-Con, having a Jolly Jacko Funko Pop at our booth, there wasn't anyone that wouldn't walk by and be like, "Oh, what is that?" They know what Funko is, and they're like, "Oh,
Right.
this brand has a Funko Pop. Let me go check it out. Oh, that's Gary Vee. Oh my God, how do I get a Funko Pop? Oh, you got to go to the Funko booth. Oh my God, and I can get Gary to sign it." Like it was a monstrous collaboration with us and was really successful. Um, I'm trying to think of other fun. There's definitely been some fun collabs that we've been close to that never got done, but um, I'm sure we will see them come to light someday.
Yeah, we got time, that's for sure. Couple fun ones. I don't know if they're fun, but a couple ones
Do you know?
pop questions
You know
that
the
pop.
story? I'm sorry, I got excited because I just saw I was wearing this T-shirt, and I'm thinking about we have the Gratitude Religatory
Oh
tee.
yeah.
Planet. Did you know the story of how we collaborated with Planet Euphoria?
No.
So I'll find the video. Gary actually shared this. I have a friend who's a video editor. People think he's like my brother. Rips always says he's my brother. He kind of looks like me. Gary posted one of his videos yesterday talking about the Topps Chrome release. His name's Justin, incredibly talented TikTok Mr. Beast style editor. Um, he edited a video explaining this story, which I'll share with you too, that we posted previously. But uh, it was Connor Muldoon's birthday. Connor actually just left VeeFriends.
Hmm.
He is an amazing person. I couldn't give him more credit for what he started out with Rips on Live Commerce and our cards team. But it was Connor's birthday. Adam wanted to do something nice for him. Connor loved the quarterback from the Tennessee Titans. Doesn't matter. Will
Not Ryan
Levis.
Tannehill.
Will Levis. He
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
Will Levis is Connor likes him. So Adam Google searched Will Levis t-shirt. He found this really cool graphic design, sort of like this, just of Will on the Titans. He was like, "Man, that's a really cool t-shirt." He bought the t-shirt. That t-shirt was from Planet Euphoria's website. Adam bought the t-shirt using his VeeFriends email. On the other side, Anthony from Planet Euphoria randomly saw that a VeeFriends email had purchased a T-shirt. And he's like, "Oh, no way!" Anthony knows Gary well, big fan of his content, knew VeeFriends, and was like, "You know what? Let me throw some Gary V T-shirts in this package
Ah,
for Connor."
and you rocked one of VCon, I remember.
And I was rocking one at VCon because I saw it. I saw we get the package. Rips grabs a T-shirt for Connor, puts it in a gift, gives it to him. Happy birthday, Connor. Later on, the T-shirts are just laying on the office chairs, and I ask Rips, I'm like, "What is this T-shirt? This T-shirt's fire." It's like Gary throwing up the five by the Jets jersey and has like this big Gary V thing. I thought it'd be fun for me to just like rock a Gary V shirt. Um, and so I started wearing it, and then one day Gary was like, "What's up with this shirt? Why do you like it?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, it's really cool." And then I asked Adam, I'm like, "Where do we get it from?" And Adam's like, "I really think those t-shirts are really cool. I bought one for Connor." Uh, he's emailing more like he wants to make something for VeeFriends, and I'm like, "Yeah, have him whip up some samples." And flash forward, you know, 8 months later, we're now on like our third or fourth drop of the 555 T.
and they're absolutely fire, and they sell out in 4 seconds.
Yes, the Gratitude Gorilla one is going to sell out in 3 seconds.
The fact that they're numbered makes it in a whole
Number,
other
the
planet.
style, the limited nature, and the numbering, I think it was a home run.
Listen, I think I say this a lot on when I talk to the community. Like people are sleeping on VeeFriends merch, like actual apparel shirts.
Yeah,
Like I spent a lot of time in the whatnot, like vintage shirt area, and man, we're talking hundreds of dollars if you
yeah,
have the right piece.
yeah.
So cool. So I wanna hit some of the quick collectibles. You know, we have the other bookend of this original three VCons. Gary says not the last VCon, but we're not doing one next year. And then he throws up the pillars like this is what we are going to be working on. And you alluded to before, like it's time to get to work. You know, this was cool. You know, you're fulfilling your essentially only obligation, at least for the cores. And it's time to go to work. So you have the pillars. You're going to build the affinity through social media creative, live commerce, cartoons and comics, and collectibles. So let's hit the comics. You know, huge. It's very timely right now because the first one is going to Gift Goats right now. I think as we speak, which is fire, and the number two is going to be available on May 1st. Readings were done last night. DJ, I heard. I think the story is that Jeremy found DJ, pinged you, and you went into his live stream. So how did you know he was the guy?
I had a sneaking suspicion after like 5 minutes of watching him, he was the guy. Gary, I tweeted I want to hire a comic strip creator. DJ hadn't yet applied. He was using his live stream as the application, and he was going to send that video of the live stream afterwards. But like DJ is such a great person for me to work with and a partner for me because he's also a great operator and marketer. Like he had Gary Vee's content model down pat, which if you're from a more traditional landscape of like creative thinking and creative ideology, the Gary Vee model is very, very, very different, and you'll never be aligned. No matter how amazing you are for building a character universe, there's going to be too much friction on how we think about creativity and volume and putting things out in market. And he had that down. So then it was more just like, okay, now does he actually know how to storytell? Does he know his stuff with comics? And can he create? Which after watching the streams and his illustrations, I told Gary literally after 5 minutes, I think I just texted him like, hey, I think I found our comic creator. And then he's like, I want you to go deep. I had an interview with DJ. Um, and then I asked DJ for a referral, which is honestly not common for me. I'll just generally, if I really want time, I'll do like a couple rounds of interviews. But I got a referral, and then I met with DJ's previous boss, who I actually randomly knew, which was funny. I totally
Oh,
forgot
wow.
that I'd met this person. And he gave DJ 5 stars across the board. So I told Gary, like, I think he's the guy. And it was a great decision. DJ's been an incredible creative partner, uh, of course to me, but ultimately to Gary, where Gary gives him the vision, the foundation, who that character is, why they are the way they are, where they
Mm.
come from, and then still allows DJ to build upon that in his creative ways.
He just is such a cool puzzle piece that seemed to like fit in perfectly
Yeah.
to the whole ecosystem, at least from my perspective, my seat here.
And it's
And it was
exciting too. Throughout the time DJ's joined, we've played a lot with different formats of comics.
mm,
At first, he's like, let's just get going. We're doing daily comic strips. Uh, Rapid development of character IP and connection and trying to storytell. Um, and then we started doing, at some point in time, we made comic book number one while also doing all those daily comic strips. Eventually, I'm like, hey, DJ, I think you need more people on your team if you're, because DJ's an animal. He's a machine. All he wants to be doing is creating comics all day long. And I have to sometimes corral him. I'm like, bro, we can't do 7 comics a day. I mean, 7 comics a week and write comic book number one and get to all the other things that I need to get done with you. So we grew out his comics team. He has 3 other really talented teammates. Corso helps him air traffic control and lead strategy and marketing a little bit in some ways. and then Ali and Chris Faison. Um, but now I think we're pretty locked into comic books and continuing the line of our Sunday newspaper strips. And I think comic books are going to bring to life a whole other level of depth and meaning that we've never yet had for our characters and for VeeFriends, which ultimately has always been the thing that most excites me in working at this company, because I think that's actually how you create connection that can change people's perception on how they want to navigate their life through a single character.
100%. And the collab with Lee and having real comics and real tangible newspapers around the country, it was fascinating. And just like I don't know why I should have learned my lesson, but it caught me by surprise that like you went that way. But it makes so much sense to
Yeah, super cool.
for the masses. Talking to DJ, I was like, it's kind of a cool flex because at least from his version of the story, I think you and Gary said, we want to do a weekly comic, and he said, no, we'll do it daily. So I was like, that's kind of a cool flex to tell like the content guys like they need to do more content.
Well, that
Um,
was his pitch from the jump of like he knows the Gary Vee content model, which is like have pillar content, and then if you're smart and creative and strategic, you can deploy that content on all the platforms that matter.
mm,
And that's what I was like. He was explaining that on the stream while creating and drawing VeeFriends. I'm like, okay, this guy is different than the five other comic artists I just saw resumes for, and a few I actually interviewed.
mm. And he's got that X factor, like he's great, like multitasking, like handling the
Yeah.
community and fielding questions
And
while like
he
in his creative craft.
and most importantly, he deeply loves and obsesses over comics and is a real historian of comics. To enter into the comic space and to do it correctly, we need to be authentic and true and respectful to everything that comics has represented throughout history within IP and IP development. And it's why Gary's much more dangerous than one might think within comics and the history of comics, but it's not like his bread and butter. So having Chris and DJ alongside Gary while Gary's continuing to grow and learn within the comic space is great for us. And I think we're doing all the right things to build it in a slow but long-term and meaningful way.
Hmm. So, last year, 2024, Gary screaming about live streaming. He's streaming his whole day. He's screaming about social shopping. And here comes VeeFriends, late 2023 with Fanatics Live, which it's great to look back on those early shows to see how that's up level too. Fanatics Live into predominantly Whatnot with a little Fanatics Live in there now. But it's all the same thing. When did it go from like, yeah, we're gonna try this thing and see how it works to our community's living here, we need to be doing this every day?
Almost instantaneously,
It
you know,
clicked.
it's actually really good for the aspiring content creators. I always just say like you just have to post. People spend so much time whiteboarding like how they're going to start the podcast, where all they really need to do is like get Riverside, find a guest, press record, boom, you've done your first episode. We actually spent a lot of time with the Fanatics Live team, 3, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, really trying to lock in like our live streaming strategy. What are the shows going to be? What are the formats going to be? When we're going to go? How often we're going to go? All those things. And eventually we got in a room with them and like we sort of agreed. I with not the president, but like he reports to the president of Fanatics Live, and we sort of agreed like we should just start tomorrow. Like let's just press go live and go from there. And I think immediately after everyone saw how charismatic and capable and smart Adam is, we saw how amazing it was to have a base for our community to engage and hang out as one with the VeeFriends team. Um, Gary popped on a live and saw the exact same thing, and it was like, oh, this is what we need to do always.
Mm,
And it was really, and it's cool because aside from being another retail sales channel, Amazon, shop.vfriends, whatnot, it's also a brand building channel. Like yesterday, it's actually really cool. I don't know if you caught this. I couldn't believe Gary decided to give it away. They read the comic book. first ever comic book. Gary decides to sign it and give an inscription. First reading of VeeFriends comic book number one, he decided to do a buyer's giveaway. Anyone that bought on the show would be entered to win this comic book, which I honestly think might be the biggest giveaway we've ever done on Whatnot. On Fanatics Live, we gave away Super Bowl tickets, which were expensive, like $6,000, $7,000 tickets. But anyways, and we gave like cheap items so that people could always they could buy something for $11 and enter the giveaway. But the gentleman that won the giveaway, it was his first time ever on a VeeFriend show. He knew nothing, zero about what he had just won. I think his name is Jay White. And it's so cool. Like Jay White, he might actually end up being a part of this community for life.
Yeah,
He could flip it tomorrow, but like he seemed like when we were trying to chat him and like see where did he come from, how do you know about VeeFriends, anything? He's like, I know nothing. He came in through a raid from a
that's
different
wild.
show, one thing, giveaway, and it Whatnot and other live commerce channels have this real unique and strong potential, which Gary recognizes better than anybody, maybe on the planet, that not only can it drive sales and revenue for a merchandise or retail company or any company that's selling products, it can actually build your brand. If you have a charismatic host that knows how to talk and engage with people,
Hmm.
you can also get new fans and followers and audiences outside of just sales, which is extremely important for an emerging company.
Of course. And then, from the community outset, like it's more people than ever, like actually acting on like, what should I do? And like here comes the VFriend streamers. Like there, it's very rare now that to click on VFriends in the Whatnot app and not have a stream going on
It's
from
been one of my favorite things. There was an era. I think I like hit up. I might have hit up Josh or TJ or something when we were only on Fanatics. I was like, "Yo, you guys should check out Whatnot," because they were no one was really using Whatnot, and I knew how big of an audience and how big of a platform Whatnot was, and to not have a VFriends presence on it, for me was a vulnerability and a huge opportunity.
mm,
But then, of course, now that we were on it, it allowed a lot of people to learn it. And unlike some of the other platforms, anyone can start an account tomorrow and run a show and see what you got.
yeah, I mean, what are you guys up to? Like 35,000 followers or something?
I think more, honestly. I'm curious. I'm gonna look right now.
So, I mean, it's something like that, or maybe I'm under. I'm definitely not over.
No.
Crazy.
Yeah,
So like,
it's been fun, and we've had it continue 45, 45.2. Um,
I have a feeling that number is going to go up in the next couple months.
gonna go up, and our focus and experience and capabilities are gonna go up too.
So social media creative, you guys obviously no joke the content that's been being put out, the up leveling, specifically VFriends cards account and VCon account. And I found Bob before Bobby was even like a character like that people knew about. I DM course I was like, who's behind the VCon account this year? Because it's just different in 2024. It's not just like reposting like who's speaking, like they're
Yeah.
engaging, they're jumping in the conversation, and I was like, whoever it is, give flowers, and it was Bobby. So that up level, VFriends cards is on a different planet, and it's like it's happening everywhere. And now VFriends live.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know if there's anything to say except that you're just doing what you
Yeah.
guys do.
I in it's been exciting. And again, like Bob, it's just people. Bobby is as passionate about VeeFriends as you are. He loves it, he breathes it, he knows what it represents, he knows the potential. And to have someone on the keys behind the account, it you can feel the energy and the continuity and messaging and all the things that equate to really running and growing a social channel. But I'm excited to now with comic books and our VeeFriends cartoons episodes, we really have what I would call pillar content to then storytell off of from a social media perspective. Without having a 24-page comic book or a 4-minute episode, you do micro bits. You're trying to tell a bigger story, but you can only tell so much in an Instagram post or a tweet or a little animated video clip. So I'm really excited now to have these pillars where like I don't need to reimagine anything. I just need to dive into what Mikey just experienced when the VeeFriends picked him up from his house before he did a phishing scam.
Mm,
Like the stories are there to squeeze the juice out of and try to maximize the attention on these platforms and bring them back into the longer picture of what VeeFriends is, what the universe represents, and who the characters are.
I love that. For on the Moonbug thing, are you, as far as like continuity within characters, and or maybe they're different, like how does that work as far as creative? Like, is there any kind of communication between the comic stories and like origin stories or mannerisms or whatnot from the comic world to the cartoon world?
Yeah, I mean, at its highest level, Empathy Elephant is who Empathy Elephant is from Gary's perspective and what it represents in the world and the stories that it wants to tell. From a strategic standpoint and a medium standpoint, there are very specific reasons why the Moonbug Six, as I call them, were selected to be the Moonbug Six.
Mm,
Popular with that age demo on YouTube Kids, popular search queries within YouTube Kids, trying to set up that show for the best success. But again, cartoons is for 5 to 7 year olds. These comics are much more mature.
got it. That makes sense. I like that. The Moonbug Six. I'm gonna take that.
I
You.
loved some of the special guests within the cartoon show. I think are underrated. I loved Headstrong Honey Badger's appearance in Moonbug. He's
Mm,
basically he's a bully, but as is generally the truth for a lot of bullies, it's rooted in insecurity. He's playing soccer with Dynamic Dino, and he keeps like pushing him and fouling him, but it's actually because he just sucks at soccer. And for that, for the first season of those 20 episodes, there's still a lot of nuance and depth that I think we're going to dive into for the next year, just off of those 20 episodes to really bring to life more in a YouTube environment and for VeeFriends cartoons for parents and kids 5 to 7.
mm. It's so funny you mentioned like guest characters. Just today, I've been talking to my son's 6 now, and he's really into it, and he's starting to understand more layers to it. We were talking about Cynical Cat the other day, and he's on the comic. He's going to become a bigger character, and he was watching today, and he yelled at me from the other room because Cynical Cat showed up in the cartoon, and it's like, Dad, look, it's Cynical Cat. And I had never seen Cynical Cat in the cartoon before, so it was a cool. It was one of those cool moments where you see the affinity for the characters like in your own home, with generationally. You mentioned passion before, talking about Bobby and VeeFriends. I have to. One of the big happenings since we last spoke is the hiring of Jeremy. Uh, to this
Which
day,
seems
like
like 30 years ago to me.
I know, and when it happened, I don't know if you remember this, but like there was like a 4 hour space of people, a revolving door of community members, some that were deeply dialed in, some, were just kind of Web3 people that knew Jeremy because of who Jeremy is. It was just like I told him, it was like a living funeral, like people just like congratulating him and like saying every nice thing that there is to say about him. Uh, Going back to that moment, was it like an inevitable thing and you were just trying to find the right time? Uh, did you, I mean, because he's a special guy and an important part of this story, um, at least the one I'm writing from my preview. What can you tell us about hiring Jeremy Knows?
I had talked to Jeremy. I mean, I knew the name Jeremy since Mint in
Yeah.
May 2021, and he was a volunteer mod for a while, and then probably I don't know at the beginning of 2022, him and I started talking about his interest in VeeFriends, and for one reason or the other, based on where he was at and what he wanted to do, or where I was at and where VeeFriends was at, it never felt like the right time or match for the needs that we had and where we were going. And then equally, I always knew what he represented and what he could bring to the table because I would watch him on Spaces, because I would see him in Discord, because I knew that he understood the Web3 landscape. So I would always talk to him like every 3 or 4 months. He would either hit me back up and I'd be like, hey, let's catch up, or I would want to catch up with him, see what's going on in his world, what he's seeing. And then eventually it got to a place where I felt like I wanted to hire him. Uh, because of what he could bring to the table for us and skill sets that I wanted to have on the team. Gary co-signed my belief and intuition, and the rest is sort of history. I'm really proud of Jeremy right now. He's gone through, uh, everyone on the team has gone through a lot of evolutions, myself included, learning and growing, and driving impact for this brand and this company. And I think Jeremy right now is at an all-time high from my perspective on watching him learn and grow. And I had such a fun time with him in ETH Denver.
Mm,
I've never been to ETH Denver. I've wanted to go with VCon the last years. I just wasn't able to make it out. But just being able to spend time with Jeremy during ETH Denver was like made it ROI positive for me. Outside of the other networking I was able to do, which was meaningful too, connecting with people in the space. But it's not often that I get 2 days of only being able to connect with like an employee where we're just jamming and talking and strategizing.
that's
And for
cool. Yeah.
Jeremy and I to do that on all things VeeFriends, I think was really good for him and it was good for me. And I think we left there feeling like just great about where we're headed and the goals that we really wanted to drive forward together.
I love that. That's so cool. And yeah, just one of those like sub storylines that just great to think back on.
Yeah.
Couple quick questions before we kind of wrap up here. And these are just kind of, I was trying to think back to like, what legends in the community, what questions are people fuzzy on? And
Yeah.
besides you, I can only think of one other person that can answer. So feel free to pass, and I'll ask
Got it.
him. We know that the capable caterpillar was the original logo. Turned to black cat. Was it at the 11th hour that it changed? Why did it change? Did something happen? Was it a weird? Gary stood up and said, "We're doing this." What do you remember from that pivot?
I remember it all. Uh, the designer for the logo had designed the logo with a capable caterpillar. They had just sort of selected it. They'd been around us for a while. They knew a cannibal ant mattered a lot. That believing in yourself is capable and knowing you're capable believed a lot. So it wasn't without context, but he was also thinking about it from a design perspective.
Mm,
Like that caterpillar sitting on top of the F just fit well. Um, and Gary had seen it, and we were like, okay, that's the logo. It was on our test site before launch, and we were like sort of done with that phase. And as we're looking at the website, I mean, there's so much. ETH is going up in price. We
right.
have to adjust the reverse Dutch auction pricing, which was like a huge, arduous, intense process that we had to lock in. So many things were happening, and throughout that, like 11th hour, uh, and I giggle because it's classic Gary, but it's classic Gary in the best way because he was right and it was the right thing to do. And so many people struggle to be able to have this perspective to take a step back and really think about uh, the impact or goal that you're trying to make and whether or not you sort of have this tunnel vision on just trying to get a singular task done. And he can always do that, but he just looks at the website and he's like, I don't want this fucking logo. Like, I didn't pick those characters. Like, I'm not doing that. I'm like, and I'm stressed. I'm like, bro, like 5-5, like we have like 2 minutes. What do you mean you don't want the logo? Like, you don't want this logo? He's like, I don't want a capable caterpillar on the logo. And then, similar to how he thought of when he was thinking about putting the black cat in the super sticker, she's like, I think it's the black cat. He's like, it's the very lucky black cat. Like it's just me. It represents so much of like who we are, what I'm about, the NJ in the tail. Um, Black cats shouldn't be unlucky. I think they are lucky, and the rest is history. He's like, and I just told the designer, I'm like, yo, get rid of the caterpillar. We got to put the black cat there. And it's funny now because as we've evolved and matured as a brand, um, a lot of my design team's always like, man, this file's so hard to work with. This series one cat, like the legs, it won't print well on certain files and things. And then we use the series two. But eventually, over the last like 6 months, I started going on a campaign. So I really started to have a stronger vision for what this brand is representing to someone new, like how to try to articulate it. But also that this black cat, I think, is the mascot for a reason and really
Mm,
represents that. And I think it was important too to have an ode to the Series 1 cat because there's something just really special to the fact that it was drawn by Gary and the fact that I think it just speaks to the potential that anyone can have at any given moment through their own creation.
I love that. I appreciate you sharing that. And you're right. Like it couldn't be any other way now. I love the caterpillar, but it's just not not the
It's
logo.
just
It's
not the logo. Yeah.
the other one. There's different versions of what happened with the five shimmer set.
Yes.
Are you able to clarify? I feel like enough time may have passed, but are you able to clarify what happened with the five shimmer set? And comma, do we know how many are in existence?
I don't want to I know exactly what happened to it. I don't want to give it any more misinformation. I think there's around like 149 total or something. I'm not exactly sure on the quantity. Um, we uploaded a product catalog to our store site. The product catalog is private on our store. It was not private on Meta. That Meta or our storefront service from the same product catalog. So when it got uploaded, unbeknownst to the individual that was managing that product catalog, didn't realize that it was going to hit Facebook. And I think someone
Wow.
just logged on Facebook and they were able to like grab two or three shimmer sets. And we would have had the ability, should we have chosen to do so, to cancel the order and saying like, yo, you're not getting this. But we let the early birds who randomly serendipitously saw that five shimmer set buy a set.
I I think that's super cool to have something like that out there in the ether. Um, Similar to like, and you've spoke on the Superfractor Ninja, like if it's just sitting in some kid's binder or like sitting in an unopened pack, like
Listen,
we
I
won't
hope it,
know.
nothing would make me happier than if someone pulls it, you know. IJ Rob pulls it on a stream. But I also think about Lil Ricky sitting in Wisconsin with his binder and he's just sitting on the Notorious Ninja Superfractor and maybe one day he'll wake up and see that he actually has maybe the most collectible card in the entire VeeFriends universe forever.
I love it. Um, do you have 2 more minutes for a little micro macro spitfire?
I got you.
All right, I appreciate your time. Man, this has been real fun to dig into this. And I really appreciate you. All
It's the
right,
BTC era, Rob. I
BTC.
knew it. I'm like, man, I really want to get on BTC era, so you got me.
Let's go. It's very fitting. Very fitting. All right, here we go. Micro macro spitfire with the president of VeeFriends, Mr. Andy Krainak. Andy, what is your favorite piece of VeeFriends, physical piece of VeeFriends memorabilia?
Physical piece of VeeFriends memorabilia would be the Anwar Carrots VeeFriends blue hoodie collab that I believe we did in December 2021.
All right, out of the VeeFriends team, VeeFriends employees, who's got the best jump shot?
Me.
Favorite TV show of late for you?
Favorite TV show of late for me. I was watching White Lotus. I didn't really like this last season. It was getting a lot of flack. I agree with the flack a little bit. Um, I won't go. I'm just going. I'm saying Lakers in six to my favorite TV show.
What is an eruption that you wish you could have participated in?
Uh, Competition to win the CryptoPunk where you had to record a video.
Number five. Why do you like pea salad?
It is the most obscure V friend.
A city that you would like to see a future VCon at?
Tokyo.
What is a character? Now we're in 2025 now. What's a character that is recently, if that's 6 months, 12 months, a year, whatever? What's a character that recently has jumped into your top five as a favorite that wasn't there earlier?
Cho Chinchilla.
Why?
Because I think it's happening for the community, so it's happening for me.
What's your shirt size?
Large.
Uh, Andy, we have one more you could pass, but there's a competition going around, a 1 minute competition, based on Courtney Connect's game of can you put me onto a music for a minute? Can you put us on the VeeFriends for a minute?
Put us on to V friends for a minute. It is ready to go?
Here we go. Ready? Go.
Yes. There is no community on the planet that can help uh, change the trajectory of your life in a positive way than the VeeFriends community. With over 251 characters, there is a favorite VeeFriend character for everybody. It is started by a serial entrepreneur, creator, founder known as Gary V. Gary is as inspiring and motivating as they come. There is an annual super conference known as VCon. Although it is not happening this year, it is going to happen again, and you would highly, highly be mistaken if you did not attend that event because it could again change the outcome of your life. And there is nothing more fun than watching a VeeFriends live stream and partaking with the fans around VeeFriends and all the merchandise and collectibles that VeeFriends has. VeeFriends is for everyone. VeeFriends is age 3 to 93.
Let's go. Hit up Jeremy at VeeFriends.com to get set up with your meeting.
That's right. That's right.
Let's go. Andy, you're a freaking stud for doing this. I appreciate you. Um, man, this has been fun. Like what you guys are doing is really special. Like I know you know that, but like it's just
I,
fucking special.
it's humbling, man. It's humbling to be able to have the opportunity to be on a call with you and just be a part of this ride with everyone. Thank you for the time, and I'm glad we locked it in the BTC era.
Let's go.